Hi everyone. I wanted to talk to you today about self-love and why it is so important. Growing up, I didn't really have love from either one of my parents. They both struggled a lot with showing this affection. So there were like no words of this affection. There were no real hugs that I can remember, or any like physical affection like that, or compassion. Like it was very like just kind of a hard upbringing. And this also affected my relationships with my siblings, so we didn't either connect that way because we weren't taught how to connect that way. So we were kind of like, I remember feeling like thinking that it was lame to give hugs or be affectionate that way. But on the inside, I feel like all of my life I have dreamt of having, the mom that worried mom that just always clings on her child, almost like the opposite of what my mom was. I think for me it was hardest to not have that affection from my mom. And it took me until now, recently, well, like 2 years ago maybe, to start realizing, but it is now that I'm realizing that this is the key. This is the key to everything. If you don't love yourself, then nothing else matters, kind of. It's like everything else falls apart if you don't have that. It's like your foundation to everything else. It kind of feels like the key to happiness. And if I would have known, if someone would have told me when I was a kid, it's like we learn this the hard way. We have this harsh upbringing or whatever we deal with in life, and then it's like several years later, and it feels like a lot of unnecessary pain later, we realize that, oh, this is what I should have done. But I am really happy that, like, it's never too late. I could have been 99 years old and it wouldn't have been too late for me to change, to realize the changes that I need to make, and to let things go, to forgive, and to give myself that self-love that I didn't receive from others. If I would have had that, I know that my life would have turned out completely different. And if you have been dealing with the same situation with your family, parents, what I'm struggling with right now is forgiving them. But I am turning my perspective around, trying to turn my perspective around, and it's like it clicks and then it kind of goes back into, but you get stuck in those painful feelings instead. But if you can zoom out and just know that, okay, well, my mom was my greatest teacher then. She taught me that I needed to love myself. That's what she taught me in life. So I need to be that parent that I didn't get from her. And that involves everything from giving myself nutritious food to being compassionate when I fail at something, to not, just be harsh with myself or beat myself up, to look myself in the mirror and not judge myself. And it can be, just give yourself a hug, like a physical hug, and just tell yourself that you love yourself. And just, I notice a difference as well when I say I love you and it comes from my mind, and when I say I love you and it comes from my heart. So try to be aware of where your awareness is when you say this. Like, is it coming from your heart, or are you just like saying it so that you would have said it and then you can go on with your day? Because I know all about that, just trying to be, well, now I've done it, so now we can move on to something else. But this is like a whole, like, now I'm just trying to make it a whole daily routine and everything. Like, it's pausing when I need to pause, it's listening to your body when it needs to rest, just respecting yourself and showing yourself that you are worthy of this self-love in so many different ways. And before, I used to kind of treat myself, but in the worst of ways, where I would comfort eat things that weren't good for me, and it kind of is like just more coping than anything else. So it's also a lot about what you watch on TV and kind of music you listen to. Like, is it positive, or is it really, if you think about it, more destructive? Because I've noticed that I can't take like, I mean, you might love scary movies, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I've noticed with myself that I don't feel good when I watch scary movies. Like, I'm afraid for 3 days afterwards, and it affects my entire, being. It doesn't have a positive effect on me. So a part of me likes to be scared, but overall, it's not a positive thing for me to do. And I've also quit, just, and this has been like noticeable as I've dove deeper into the soul's journey. It's been obvious to me that no, these kind of movies that I used to like, they don't do it for me anymore. I used to be more into thrillers and action movies, and now it's just like, it's the same thing. It doesn't give me anything. So now I'm more into dramas and what do you call it, things that has happened in real life, like more inspiring stories that touches my soul. And I also kind of recently, and this is like the big one that I really wanted to talk to you about, is if you're having someone around you, and this can be family or friends, that you don't feel good when you're around them. And I'm saying this because I just recently, basically, I said to my entire family that I wanted to distance myself from them. But this is mostly for my mom and my dad, that I feel like in different ways they make me feel more bad than good. So I leave, their presence, and all these things are just swirling in my head, and I feel like I need to help more, I need to do more, I need to do. I'm the oldest out of over 5 siblings, and so I used to babysit from when I was like 6 years old. So I had to grow up really fast. So that's a big thing for me now, is to connect with my inner child. I don't even know how to be a child, I feel like. But and this just kind of dawned on me that, wow, I feel so much worse than I thought. I'm affected more than I thought I was affected by them. And I've seen this a lot, recently in different healing groups and things like that. It's just come up in my feed, where it's like the universe is just trying to tell me something, before I quit this or ended this contact with them. And I thought I would be more upset with it because I'm really dedicated to heal myself in a big way. And so I felt like I did this because I had to and I didn't really want to. But when I left their houses, they live separately, it was more of a relief. And I'm not saying I jumped out of there laughing, it was really hard. But it was also relief, like I don't have to deal with that anymore. And it's been like a roller coaster journey where it's like I miss them in a way, but it's more like I miss the familiarity than the actual people, because, well, at least these last 3 years, it's been such a spiritual journey for me that I realized that I don't have anything in common with my family anymore. I don't have anything to talk to them about because we're on so different levels. Like I believe in so many different things now than I did 3 years ago. And so it's like I can be on that superficial level for a certain amount of time, but it doesn't give me anything really. And when they, on top of that, in different ways kind of guilt trip me or things like that, then why would you stay in that, you know? So my choice was to talk to my entire family, like one by one, and just tell them, which kind of backfired a lot for me. But in the end, I'm still glad I did, because if I would have just dodged that bullet and, you know, just kind of sneaked away without having that conversation, then I would have felt guilty about it. I would have felt like I need to explain myself, and that would have just hung over my head until I did, I feel like. So I'm not saying you should do the same, absolutely not, but I'm saying if you're struggling with this, then this might be a life lesson for you to learn to love yourself. And then I think a lot of the times we do end up having people in our lives teaching us that lesson. And I think the universe's way is to see if we can choose ourselves before being loyal to someone that is not for our highest and greatest good. That's just my opinion in it. So I guess that's all I wanted to say to you today. And I hope this was helpful in any way possible for you. Take care until I see you next time. Bye.